This is How the Heck Have You Been? And the name pretty much says it all, folks. I call up a bunch of people I haven't talked to in years and catch up with them. I really hope you enjoy it as much as I have. But before we get to the episode, just a quick reminder, this is pretty much a one-man show, so if you do want to show some support and you've appreciated it, just head over to artbymarker.com and buy some cool art, because it all goes right back to me. So win-win. Thanks, guys. Not much introduction needed here. This is part 2 of my interview with David Louthen, night number 2. If you didn't catch the first one, go back to the feed, check out that first one. But today we talk about all sorts of things from Burning Man to David's father and how to eat cereal. Hope you enjoy. There he is for part 2. The man himself. Sweet shirt, David. Sweet shirt.
Thanks.
What is that?
It's a Woot shirt from back in the day.
Oh, I have like 80 Woot shirts. Are they still doing that?
Yeah.
I'm going to check them out right now.
This is the old one, though.
Is it just woot.com? No, Woot.
It is, but shirt.woot.com will go to the shirt.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
They got bought out by Amazon.
Oh, boo.
And a lot of their... I'm pretty sure one of the artists ended up doing, like, all the stuff for like exploding kittens and unstable unicorns, anything like that. Like there's a bunch of shirts with like that kind of little like cutesy woodland critters stuff on it, but it's like a bunny that's Iron Man or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but I do like the ones that are like just real abstract. This is just like a hand holding a bunch of lines of color for no reason.
Nice. I submitted a Woot shirt design once and it was terrible, and I shouldn't have done it, but it was for like Cinco de Mayo. No, it was for Day of the Dead, and it was like a cool skull with a bunch of like Day of the Dead stuff in it.
And it didn't get voted?
No, because I can show you right now. Actually, it was kind of bad. It was like it wasn't polished.
Because I think the way they still do it is they have the derby every week with a theme. And then the community votes that week, and then the like top 5 get picked for the next week, and that's the shirts they sell.
Nice. Yeah, I should do it now that I have a little bit more graphic design knowledge.
Dude, let me know. We'll get people to upvote you. But like, yeah. I did have a friend from Scouts, Riley Stroop. He had a couple designs submitted back in the day that got picked, and I have one. And it's, I'm pretty sure I'll have to look it up to make sure. But I'm pretty sure it's the one where it's like an orange juice carton, like the little ones you'd get for lunch at school.
Uh-huh.
But like the straw is stabbed in his head, so he's like bleeding out orange juice and like screaming.
Nice.
It's awful.
Let me show you this. It's not terrible. I should have. I mean, it needs to be vectored and stuff, but.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of cool because it's got the lime in there. It's got the Mayan tower, the sombrero, but it's a little bit busy and it's pixelated, and anyway.
Oh.
I didn't know what I was doing, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you gotta get like an iPad and just start doing them digitally, because then you can do a bunch of shit with it, like print things on coffee cups and what have you.
Yeah. I need to get it into more merch. There's a bunch of sites that'll do it for you and stuff, but anyway.
Whoops! Oh my god. Hold on. Spelled juice with an S. Yeah. Cartons of Death. You can still get it.
That's not bad. I like it.
What's neat about Woot now is you like their whole catalog is available for reordering. I've reordered one or two shirts in the past. And I haven't bought a shirt from them in forever, but the way that they ended up changing it after Amazon bought them was like, okay, our whole back catalog is available for reprint, but if you do that, it's digital prints. So, but if you order it on the night that the shirt's available, it's a screen print. So like this one is a screen print. You can feel like the ink and it's all cracked and stuff because it's super old. But if I were to reorder the shirt today, it would just be a digital print of this design on the shirt because they can crank them out faster or whatever. But they're located in, like when they started up, they were located in Dallas.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's where the Woot facility was, and then Amazon gobbled them up. but they're
as
still doing a
Amazon
thing.
is wont to do.
But yeah, but like there's some really neat designs. There's several shirts that I want to reorder because they're just like I literally like they're just holes. They're just full of holes now. Like
Yeah,
there's
you
like
wear
there's
them
a
out.
sleep shirt. Like it's so old it might not even be a sleep shirt at this point. But like there's one of like Ryu from Street Fighter
Uh-huh.
uppercutting a whale that's like jumping over him, and it's Free Willy, right? But like instead of the kid, it's like Ryu doing an uppercut, and it was titled "The Price of Freedom."
Nice. Did it have
And
that on the shirt, or was it just the listing title?
no, that was the title of the shirt. You could probably find that one too. And
Nice.
the one that I see passed around a lot and actually pirated on like TikTok shops and things of that nature, and I've like called them out in the comments for is the Reading Rambo, where it's like LeVar Burton
Yeah.
as Geordie LaForge holding like Uzis
Yeah.
on the Reading Rainbow logo. So it's like a mashup of all three.
Yeah. Yeah. That's gonna be
And
pirated for sure.
I've straight up I've seen like Etsy profiles that are like, oh yeah, get this on a cross stitch, get this on a cup. Like you fucking stole that from Woot. I know because I was there.
Nice. So David, how the heck have you been, man?
Oh,
we already did that.
Well,
I don't care anymore.
Part of it. It's been a while.
It has been a while. All right, what do we discussed a bunch of stuff we were going to talk about today. First and foremost,
I had two on the list that I could remember because I never write anything down.
It was my friend George's poker night. That was a fun night.
Oh, that's you have that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
So that was we had this game night, and it was at my friend's house, and he organized it. But I'm like looking around, and I realize, the only connective thread here is me. Like everybody in this room knows me, and I'm like, how did I become the hub here? So it was like you and Toby, and my friend's friend, and my brother-in-law, and all that. But at one point, we're talking, like we were done with the poker part. We were moving on to something else, and we were just kind of chit-chatting and everything. And I'm talking to a couple people over here, and I'm listening to your conversation with somebody else, and you utter a sentence in which 60% of the words I had never heard before. It was like all counterculture, Burning Man, non-centralized, decentralized, Bernie Sanders before Bernie. I was like, what are you talking about, David? I think it was like a Burning Man thing, but it was like it's the funniest thing. I was like, only David could utter a sentence like that where I don't have the vocab to even understand what he's saying. Homeopathy, something. So I don't even. I wish I could have it written down, but it was great. It was like quintessence of David.
Oh man, well, okay, so my dad was into QAnon before it was cool, okay? And
he was before it got ruined by the
yeah. And I have proof of this. Hold on. I have to find because I can never remember the name of the organization. I'll send it. I'll send you a copy of this. So
I can only imagine.
To bring other people up to speed who didn't know him, my dad, he passed away in like 2018, but like, he was a long time conspiracy theorist. Like
I can confirm this.
Like, and the neat thing about the neat thing about it was like it was everything, like all of it. And so you would we had, and this is actually going to tie in the Burning Man thing too. This is going to be cool. So like even before I knew what Burning Man even was, I've always been a big believer in like radical inclusion. And I remember one year at 4th of July, we had like the sovereign citizen people and the alien people and the hollow earth people and the alternative medicine people and the Jewish people. We were friends with some rabbis and their sons and this other lady who ran like a Jewish, like before podcasting was a thing, she had like a Jewish radio program. Her name was Yafa. She was awesome. um, all at our house at the same time for 4th of July. It was so weird. It was like everybody, right? And I was like, how did we, even as like a child, I was thinking, how did we get here? How did this, like you talk about being the central point, like my dad was that point. And it's like,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
these people would have never come and hung out with each other otherwise, except we had a really good view of the boys ranch to watch the fireworks. And, but we've been cleaning out the house and the office, and I came across this is so gold. I'm gonna text it to you right now. I don't even think I've read the whole
Yeah, that's
thing.
the fun stuff.
It's a one pager, but I'm gonna just lightly describe it for our listening audience. So this is a fax. This is a fax that I found in my dad's office because he's like a paper hoarder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going through like file boxes and boxes of like stacks of papers of like receipts and chicken scratch and all this stuff. But I found this fax, and if you look at it real closely, the date stamp on
Looking at it now.
is from in the top corner is from May of 1994.
Uh-huh.
And at the bottom of it, it comes from with the little Christ dove holding the branch in its mouth, the American Patriot Fax Network, with its own slogan, "Friends faxing friends for freedom." Based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, on Flamingo Road, like classic. And what this single sheet of paper is, it's titled at the top, "The Committee of 300," and it's a diagram of all before the word Illuminati was just something we all knew about, and that Katy Perry wanted to join and whatever the hell, right?
Yep.
Like they referred to it as the Committee of 300, which was basically a group of 300 people across the planet who were all like the ruling elite, what we now would refer to as the Illuminati. And it's like a diagram that breaks down like, you know, the people in England and the Rothschilds and whoever the hell, and like the Saudis and like all this stuff, and like how they're all interconnected. And I was like, man, so like anytime I see it on like TikTok and social media and stuff of like people are like, did you know there's a hole in the middle of the earth that like true north or whatever, and like Admiral Byrd's diary? I'm like, bro, this ain't new.
Yeah.
Like I grew up in this house. Like I grew up knowing this. I went to Scouts.
You adopted the dark, but I was born into it.
This, and then all of a sudden, my friends weren't allowed to come over to my house to hang out anymore for some reason. Like I would tell them, and then they'd go tell their parents the crazy shit I said about like the moon being hollow.
Wait, they weren't allowed to come because your parents didn't want them, or because their parents didn't want them?
Their parents. They're
okay,
like, maybe don't hang out. Maybe don't hang out at David's house anymore.
So I have two shining memories of your dad. Number one is, and this was like a great comedic scene setup. I was knocking on your door. We're about to go hang out, and I think we were like in a hurry, right? You wanted to leave, and I knock on the door, and you kind of crack the door open just to look at me, just messing around. And I had been looking at the pillars at your house because your house has columns.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and just as a throwaway joke, like, are these load-bearing columns? And you open the door a couple inches more, and your dad is right behind you. And I see your face sink like, oh, you shouldn't have asked that because it's going to be 30 minutes while my dad explains whether these are load-bearing columns. And so it was kind of a cool explanation because they were like jointed together 4x4s that, or maybe 2x4s that aren't load bearing but could be load bearing. But didn't he help like design and build that house?
He did, and we we had part of the roof blow off like 2 years ago in a really bad storm, and my older sister, she came from Las Vegas to help with the mitigation of that because my mom was in a medically induced coma for COVID treatment at the time. Jeez. So we like hacked her computer and like had to like make the house payments and like, oh shoot. And it was a whole ordeal, but you know, we had, I think we didn't get a good contractor to like our 7th one, and even after they started the work, like we found an old photo album of like the house being built, and we had to tell them, hey, look, this is not gonna go how y'all think it's gonna go because it's not traditional construction. It's a styrofoam house, and it's made out of this these special materials, and so all your, I don't care how much contracting experience you have, if you're not
Mm-hmm.
familiar with styrofoam stress skin paneling and that type of energy efficient design, y'all are going to be looking for studs in the wrong places and like tear the roof. They had to rebuild the top little part of the roof, and they weren't exactly sure how they were going to do it, and we're like, we tried to tell you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you're looking for places to put a nail and it's styrofoam. Like, we told you this. And so I wish I'd listened to those conversations more about like the load bearing columns and stuff, because like we've also had like sewer drain line. Like I just had to spend like nearly $5,000 to get a slab leak, redone, and like the plumber and the excavation team was like, yeah, you actually have 2 footers under the house for some reason instead of just one. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. My dad's crazy. He didn't know what he's doing. It's his first and only house he ever built. Like, so yeah, so going through all of that, it's been neat being here and like cleaning it out, but also kind of existing here while also taking care of the maintenance, which has been a lot to like all the joys of home ownership without actually owning the residence. But like also learning about a lot of things, and
Well, you
then
don't
also,
own it? Is it like just still under your mom's name?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's in a trust, but my my parents weren't the most financially savvy, and so they could have paid it off several different times and chose to do other things with that money. And so 30 years later, there's still a little bit of a mortgage left on it. And so it's like,
Yeah, I was talking to another friend of mine who I'm like, wait, your parents have been in that house for at least 40 years.
yeah,
And they're like, yeah, they hadn't paid it off and we helped them pay. I was like, what?
yeah, I'm about to be in kind of I'm gonna find out some more information this week, but I
Yeah.
might be facing some information
Just
about
give
that.
me some
It's been
numbers. I
weird.
mean, we're getting personal. You might as well just like put some numbers on this. What? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No,
We can cut
it's
on
been
this
like
if
a
you want.
reverse thing, because like people are like, oh, so you're living at home and you're not paying rent? I'm like, whoa. Time out. Normally, when you're renting somewhere, you pay the rent and the landlord does all the maintenance. Instead, my mom's been making the house payments and I've been doing all
All
of
the maintenance, yeah.
all the maintenance, and it's been a lot. Like I mean, I've been here a couple of years now, and she's out in East Texas building building 2 different houses with her boyfriend, who's also a contractor, and like, but yeah, like I probably, like, that roof rebuild was a 6-figure insurance claim, which was yikes, and it
Yeah.
still didn't
Yeah.
cover everything. And I took out like a $20,000 home improvement loan to cover the difference, and I've replaced one of the geothermal heat pumps, which is another neat thing that like only people in the last year or two, when we've had like these crazy heat waves, have even bothered to Google. And like my dad put this in 1990. He knew what it was, and it wasn't because the energy efficient things that my dad did 30 years ago are just things that people are just now being like, did you know that? And like, he didn't do it because he cared about the earth. Like, he died a climate change denier. Like, it was because he wanted to save money. And like, so it wasn't like a noble cause, like I'm going green. It was like, I want to pay the electric
Yeah.
company because
Yeah.
they're owned by the Illuminati or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it was weird how we got there. It's like somehow he was still like half progressive, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Well, I think that's I mean, to the extent we're in trouble, that's what's going to save us is good incentives and smart things like that, not the moral high. Like, nobody really acts on their morals and ethics. They just act on incentives and immediate needs. So a little bit of both. A little bit of both.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been an adventure, but yeah, like I've definitely I paid way more than I would have paid just renting somewhere else in like maintenance at this point. But it's fine, because the idea is if we can get it cleaned out and we get it sold, then I'll get reimbursed.
Yep.
And like someone has to be here to make sure it just doesn't burn down, which the upstairs water heater leaked and like would have flooded the whole upstairs if no one had been here to come check on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in that
nuts.
situation now because my dad isn't at his house right now. He's somewhere else, and so we're like checking on it at least once a week. But he's got a pool, and the pool is just in constant headache. When my wife and I were looking at houses, everybody was like, "You're gonna get a pool, right?" I'm like, "F no, I'm not getting a pool." And they're all so surprised. Like, really, you don't want a pool? Like, if
Buddy
you've
mine,
ever known somebody who's owned a pool, it's just a constant headache and not worth it at all.
funny recent story. My backyard neighbor over the fence has a pool that where someone moved into that house and the pool wasn't being maintained. So it was a giant cesspit of
Yep.
mosquito eggs. And, I get little text alerts from the city of Bedford. It's like, we've located West Nile mosquitoes in the area. Be careful. I'm like, great.
I know where those came
And
from.
and I didn't know the etiquette, right? Like I've never been in this situation before, but my girlfriend was really mad about it because she's like takes the dogs out in the backyard and she doesn't want to get bit. She does like, if something happens to our dog, I will commit a crime.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, don't do that. So I went to the pool store and bought like chlorine to shock it with, and I took it to this dude's house, and I walked up, and like the glass panes in the front door, some of them are missing, which is a little weird. And there's like some like random plywood on the front porch, like covering a hole, like, and like the landscaping is like half done. Like you can tell like there's projects going on. So I think they bought it as like a as is and we're trying to fix it up.
Yeah.
And so like this dude comes to the door who's like obviously working from home in his bathrobe, straight out of the shower with headphones on. And I was like, I didn't know how to like start this conversation. I was like, hey, and like I just started to get into it and be like, I'm your neighbor over the fence, and like your pool's causing a problem, and I'm not trying to be an asshole. So I didn't know if like I could help you out by just like giving you some of these pool cleaners. I just felt like such a dick.
Yeah.
But I really wasn't trying to be like, I was just trying to be neighborly. But like, how do you be like, hey, get your shit together, bro?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
And he told me, he's like, I'm so sorry. There's no need. Like, don't like just return those chemicals. I'll take care of it. He's like, my pool pump busted and I haven't had time to fix it. And like, he told me the same thing. He's like, don't buy a house with a pool.
Yep.
And like, I got a buddy of mine in Watauga who had a pool and a hot tub, and like he liked to have house parties, and like he's been there a couple years, and like, hey, come over and swim at my place, and it's been great. And like this year, like his pool pump bit it, and he just like drained it, and he said, nope, fuck it, I'm not dealing with that right now.
I mean, get a pool if you have like $50,000 you can just set aside for the next 20 years to maintain it, right? Like, get a pool because you're going to need a pool service, because you're going to get tired of doing it yourself. You're going to need upkeep. You're going to need to replace the filter panels. That's $600 every time. But unless you have that kind of money, I just don't suggest it. Go to your public
Turn it
pool.
into a pond. Put some koi in there, and let them eat the mosquito eggs.
Well, it's funny. I have a similar story about going next door and feeling like an a-hole because every Christmas, so I kind of go all out with my Christmas lights. And so do a couple of my neighbors. Good. And we have some neighbors that are directly across the street from us, and they have a projector, which is super awesome. Like, I love that they do it. They have a projector that they project a different Christmas movie every night onto their big window.
Okay.
And then they have speakers playing the sound. But my wife is a really light sleeper. And the speakers are like literally pointed right at the window that our master bedroom is on. So every night, they were playing the movie until whatever, like 1 a.m. until it shut off or something. And so a couple of nights go by, and so I end up having to go over there at like 8:30 and knock on the door and be like, can you turn the music down? And meanwhile, we're like competing for best house of the neighborhood with our Christmas lights. So I didn't want to feel like I was trying to sabotage them, or,
You're not in an HOA, are you?
Yeah, we are.
Gross.
We are. But yeah, it is kind of gross. But they're not as bad as they used to be. We used to get dinged like for small stuff. Like I missed a strand of Christmas lights on my tree. Like I couldn't even see it. Like I didn't even notice that I had missed it because it was like kind of up in the leaves and the branches. And so my HOA like mailed me a little picture of it. It was like, hey, you need to fix this or you're going to be fined. It's like, oh my God. Okay. Yeah, that face is the appropriate face. But I still feel a coldness between me and those neighbors every time I see them. Like I can tell that I just ruined our neighborly relationship or any potential there. Maybe I'm projecting.
It's probably fine.
Yeah.
Invite them over for like a barbecue or something.
No, screw that. They put too many Christmas lights up. So, the second story I have about your dad was, this is more of the conspiracy theory type thing. We were
Mm-hmm.
talking about microwaving, and he got
Oh
out
god.
a he got out a cup of water. And he was like, "All right, microwaving reduce," or he was like, I think he was talking about maybe chirality, the rotation of particles or something. And so he was like, it'll reverse the rotation of the particles when you microwave it, because watch. And he had like a little cross on a like a
Little
pendant
pendulum
cross, and he
thing.
would like
Yeah, the left
rotate it,
spin,
and then
right spin thing. That's not even a science thing. That's like a it's like a woo woo thing.
yeah.
Like I told you, he believed all of it. Like
But
it's so weird because they like in the 80s they were so fundamentalist Christian. Like I found a book that was like literally titled like yoga, taekwondo, and other vices of the occult. And like then like in high school they're doing yoga. We were taking karate classes. Like how,
yeah,
what are we doing?
yeah.
It's
Most
like
things. The thing is, like, I'm a big believer in people having religious experiences and it changing their life, and I'm sure they've had like spiritual awakenings and things like that. But most of the time, it's all secular, right? Even Christianity is mostly secular. Like, you meet Christians, like, oh god, these are gonna be uptight, like conservative Christians.
dude, growing up, we were kicked out of churches for asking too many questions.
Yeah,
And
that's as it should be.
before
You should be
before
asking
I
too many
was
questions. I mean,
either when I was a baby or right before I was born, they were going to Bob Tilton's church. And for people that don't know who that is, you'll recognize him if you look him up on the internet because he's the meme of the farting preacher.
oh, I think, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
where they're like overdubbing the fart noises on him when he's like getting a message from the Holy Spirit or
yeah,
whatever. But
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
my like he was on Daystar and like my dad went to his church and like was like, hey, why are we selling stuff in the lobby? Isn't that what Jesus like went into the temple and flipped all the tables
Uh
over
huh.
because we weren't supposed to be changing money in the church? And like, maybe this church isn't for you, Pat. And he's like, all right. So
Yeah, yeah.
so they didn't like his question asking, which I thought was hilarious.
Well, it's also crazy how, I don't want to get too political, but it's like a lot of the things people are doing in the name of Christianity are like the opposite of kind of what Christ stood for. Like this, I mean,
Oh, you're not wrong, man. Like the National Baptist Convention was like they put it on their docket. I was listening to some reports or reading some headlines somewhere where like all these Baptist ministers were getting together um, and being like, we're having a problem because we're literally reading the words Jesus said to our congregation, and they're like, this is too woke. And it's like, oh no. A
yeah,
double-edged
yep,
sword.
yep. Yeah.
So I think that's funny because like I went to Dallas Baptist University and at one point we did do like because I was in the music business program I had to take music classes and part of that was being part of the the student choir, and it was cool. Like we got to do some cool stuff. I got to go to like Washington D.C. and sing in the National Cathedral, and like that was neat. But like a lot of times, like as a school assignment or like because we had to, we would go to these like fundraising events for the university, whereas like $1,000 a plate, but like we would put on a show for the attendees. And at one point, we had to go to the Southern Baptist Convention and perform there. And like that's the one place I got to see like there's so many like pastors and ministers and stuff all in one place, and I was like, oh, I had no idea that there's like a whole like Jesus Con kind of thing.
Christ Con.
Yeah, Christ Con.
Do they have Christ Con? They must, right?
How can they not?
That's got to be a thing.
They can't. They probably don't call it that, but like that's probably one of the places they would feel like that.
Christ.
But it just makes me laugh now thinking about like all those people going to that kind of event and being like, people don't want to hear about what Jesus said anymore. Like that might be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, that whole thing about a rich man entering the kingdom of heaven. That let's not read that passage. Oh man. All right. So what did your dad do? Was he a contractor by
No
primary profession?
he got
No, he
his
was a
degree.
pilot, right?
Well, yeah, he got his degree in aeronautical engineering. So he understood the math and the physics of things. And so that's how he um, got to be like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to teach myself AutoCAD and build a house. He's very big on DIY stuff. And, but yeah, uh, right out of college, he got drafted into the military, but because of how high he scored on whatever like tests they do, they let him kind of pick what he wanted to do. So he's like, I'm going in the Air Force, and he flew cargo planes there, and then he flew. He was a test pilot for Piper um, airplanes back in the day. They were like prop planes, and he already knew how to fly even
Jeez,
before he was in
test pilot.
college.
That's just now occurring to me how frightening that might be, right? Like we've never
Yeah,
really. I mean, we've tested
like
this a couple times, but just hop in. Yeah, we need to test it some more.
right, yeah, or we haven't tested this at all. It's funny. He told me the story one time. He was really big on seatbelts because he's like, I was driving home one night and I was really tired after working as experimental test pilot, and I crashed my car. I fell asleep and I dozed off. I crashed my car into the side of this bridge, and the seatbelt saved my life. So he's like a big proponent of that, or a big like advocate for seatbelts. But he said the cops showed up and they were like taking his statement and like investigating the scene or whatever, and they said, so how did it do? And he goes, what do you mean how did it do? And like, the car and everything. And he's like, he's still wearing his jumpsuit, so he still looks like he's like a
Oh yeah,
tester.
yeah,
And he's like, no, I'm not testing the car. I'm not a crash test dummy. That's my car, man. Like, i just
yeah.
I dozed off. Like, I test airplanes. I don't just
That's
crash cars
amazing.
into stuff. But that's what they thought he was doing.
And they just
Yeah.
happened to be there when he crashed it on purpose.
No, I mean, like, he called him or whatever because I guess he needed a tow truck or whatever. But like,
Yeah, but
or I
you
guess he
would
didn't
like as
call.
the police
I don't know how
officer,
that
you
worked.
would must realize you're not just testing a car
Yeah,
crash on a public street.
yeah. I mean, he went to school in Florida on Daytona Beach, and like, I don't know, Florida people. You don't
I do know some Florida people are scary.
know.
Speaking of scary people, all right, tell me more about Burning Man because this is a thing for you, and this is obviously has grown in popularity. So,
I mean, okay, so um, I uh, I met some friends in college that were from Odessa. They had other friends that were out in Odessa. Most of them nerds, and some of those nerds had started getting into like Burning Man stuff. And so, like, a friend of a friend, like, it kind of, it's like, they all kind of like migrated to the Dallas area, and like I started going to some of these house parties and stuff and meeting some different people, and that's kind of how like I got into that. Um, but that was also like something that vibed with me because like uh, there's 10 principles of Burning Man, and they're not rules, they're not laws or whatever, but they're just like like guidelines that they try to operate the event by. And like some of them, a lot of people get behind, like leave no trace. Like that's like a Boy Scout
mm-hmm.
thing. I
Yep.
learned in Scouts. I'm like, yeah, like let's not leave our trash out in the campsites. Like let's leave something better than we found it. Like that, I can vibe with that. And then like radical inclusion is the idea that it's not that like anyone has to like give up their boundaries or consent or anything like that, but it's just that like there's no requirement to be a part of the thing, right? It's not like, oh, this kind of event is only for these types of people. Like that's never been what it's about. Um, and I guess the first major thing that I'll say is anything you've ever heard about Burning Man is true. Um, Even the stuff that contradicts the other stuff.
uh,
But it was started by a handful of people out on like a beach somewhere, and like they had a little wooden man effigy that they like lit on fire because they're all hippies or whatever. And there's actually a documentary about the core group of people that started it, and like how the like rise of its popularity came, and they're falling out. And I think it's on Netflix. And I think it kind of it was, I mean, it was it was years and years ago, but it's still relevant, and all like the stuff is still like interesting. Um, but the idea of burning the man down is that like the constructs that we the social constructs that we just kind of assign to one another that like put us into these convenient little like I'm this kind of person or I'm that kind of person or I'm like, you know, whatever. Like for just a moment in time, they build this experimental city where everybody is welcome to come participate and work together to like make cool art stuff and then like burn a giant thing down and like help one another and like like cat people and dog people or Republicans and Democrats or like Mac and PC people, they can all just like be together in harmony like for one moment and just work together on a thing. And it's neat. Like a lot of people want to call it a festival, and people that go don't like it like that because there's no sponsorships, there's nothing to buy, you can't barter, you can't trade. You're expected to bring, like, one of the other principles is like radical self-reliance, which again, being in Boy Scouts, like going on those like backpacking
Yep.
excursions, like I understand that. But also it's like there's a gifting economy, so like if someone needs help, you can help them. And the only thing you can buy at those events is ice for your cooler, but you're never going to see like a like over here on the Coca-Cola stage or like anything like that. Like you're never going to see any of that.
Yeah.
Like people have been banned. Like there was a DJ out there one time who like tried to like, oh, I'm just gifting my CDs away, it's free, I'm not charging anything for it. It's like, no, but you're using this as a guise to do self-promotion, and we're not having that never come back, like kind of thing. And so it's a neat thing. You get to see a lot of cool art. um there's theme camps, like people will go in groups because the big burn, the main Burning Man event, is held out in Black Rock Desert in Nevada, and it's treacherous. Like
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's a desert. It's super hot in the daytime. It gets freezing at night. This last year, a lot of people got to see it on the news because it flooded again. People were getting stuck. Um, but like the the media made it sound a lot worse than it is because they're just following the celebrities that like don't know how to exist out there. Then they're
Yeah.
like hitchhiking on cars, just like get me out of here. Whereas like my friends that went that year, last year, when it was real bad or whatever, were just like, yeah, it was fine. It's fine. Like they go camping. They they've done the like extreme wilderness survival stuff. Like they made it okay. And I said, yeah, it wasn't. It was the people that go glamping, like we talked about last time, that
Uh-huh.
they just didn't know how to be. And so that's the big burn. It's out there. It's about 80,000 people or so. They build a temporary city that's about a 1 mile radius, and people will go in groups and create like a theme camp to like do whatever the thing they want to do. And the result of that happening for so many years now is that a lot of those people, they travel from out of state and they think to themselves, you know what, this is a neat idea. I'm going to go back to my state and find some land out there and have my own little mini, what they call regional burns, and just do it on like a smaller scale. And there's there's too many now in Texas. I think there's like 13 different regional burns just in Texas now. Um, but the three main ones are, uh, there's Flipside in Austin, which happens around, like, main Burning Man is like, I want to say around the October time, maybe a little earlier. But so all these regional burns, they try to put it out in different areas of the calendar so they don't overlap. But Flipside in Austin is probably about 10,000 people, and it's in over like Memorial Day weekend. So they just had that recently. And um, there's also one in that kind of same kind of region called Freezer Burn. They have it's a cold
Nice.
weather one. It's in like the second week in January or whatever. And then the North Texas burn is called Meshivia, and it's out in East Texas on some land that's like a wildlife reserve. And it's also kind of it's later, like second, I want to say second week of October.
So,
I think Burning Man's actually like late August, maybe early September. Now I'm thinking about it.
so how many have you been to? Like, how many different burns have you been to?
Most of the burns, like I've not been out to the big one in Nevada, um, but I've been to a lot of the regional ones here in Texas, and um, I've been doing that since about like 2013. I It was funny, like I went to my first freezer burn ever, and I always chickened out because like the way it would always work would be I'd be like, no, I really don't want to be that cold. And then like first and second week of January, it's like freezing. And I was like, man, I'm glad I'm not going to freezer burn next week. And then like the third week in January when it's like mid 60s.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang it, I should have gone. So like, I guess 2018, 2019, whenever it was, right when like COVID was first starting to like come up, I decided to go to my first freezer burn ever, and it was fine. It was on new land. It was maybe about 5,000 people or so, so smaller. But that was the last burn that happened that year because then COVID got so bad, they even canceled Burning Man.
Oh, geez.
The big one.
Yeah.
And so there were a couple of things that happened because of that. There were people that said, screw the Burning Man organization. We're just going to go out to the land and do it ourselves. And then there was another group of people that said, we're going to do it virtually in like a Second Life kind of app where it's like everyone can just like make their little 3D avatar and like in Minecraft and just kind of like virtually attend a thing.
Lame.
like just figure out what to do. But it was funny because like at the time we didn't know, but the freezer burn was the only burn that happened that year. And I was like, that's so funny. Like the one time I go to that event and it's the only event of that kind that happened in that year. And the reason I went actually, because this leads to another thing about what I've been up to is, somebody that I met through that community. And that's like the most interesting part. Like you meet so many different types of people. And you just create such an interesting network of like interesting people that like they have day jobs, but they have hobbies and they have passions, and like you get to meet them. And this one guy I know, he does 3D modeling professionally for like companies that are like, hey, we're designing this engineering part, but we need to put something in our keynote. Can you like draw it out from our plans and make it like help our engineering team? And they're like, yeah. But he was one of the people, because the whole other thing about these events is that they're all done by volunteers. So your ticket goes to pay for art grants to help people bring art to the event and like land maintenance costs. But like they're all nonprofit organizations, and like your fire safety team, your medic team, your gate team, your the ranger team, whoever, they're all just done by volunteers that like volunteer to work shifts. And I've worked shifts like that before while you're out at the event. And it's another way you get to meet cool people. But every year there's like an effigy proposal of like, what is the design going to look like? And like, how's it going to fit the theme that we're having this year? And this one guy, Scott, he is a buddy of mine, and he would do a lot of the designs and mock-ups for the effigy. Well, he built one of the effigy designs that was going out to freezer burn that year. And then he asked me to help him physically make some of the parts because I had started going to the Dallas Makerspace to learn how to make stuff. And so he needed some parts CNC, like it's all got to be made out of wood, but they're really ornate. And so we used the CNC machine to like cut out the designs, and it was like a giant 3-dimensional snowflake. That was like a snowflake tower, and you could like walk inside of it. Like all the effigies are typically pretty interactive, and so like all week you get to like play on them, like playground equipment, and then at the end of the week you burn it down. But that's why I was kind of goaded into like going, was because like, well, I helped work on the effigy, I might as well go see it get lit on fire. And so that's what got me out there. And he then leaned on me again to work on some stuff that he took out to the Big Burn in Black Rock City at the Big Burning Man. So I've had stuff that I've helped work on that has gone out there.
Nice.
But I haven't physically been myself to the big one. It's kind of like the Mecca for those people. And like half the community you talk to will say, don't even bother. It's that's the thing I was saying. Like everything you hear about Burning Man is true. You'll talk to people that go, and I dropped something. And like half of them will say, oh, after 2004 everything went to hell, and like it's just not worth going anymore. And then like the other half of the community will be like, last year was the best it's ever been. And like both are true. Like you get out what you put in to those types of events. And So you'll talk to half the community that'll say like, oh, don't bother going to the big one. It's too big. It's too hot. You'll get stuck in the mud, whatever. Like, it's just not worth it. It's gotten too big to be meaningful. And then other people that are like, oh, you have to make it a point to go at least once in your life. And like, and so it's like, do what you want.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole thing. It's like, there's so many people that are like, will offer different advice, but the cool thing is like everybody who's got their own ideas about the world and how it should work get to be in that one like concentrated area for a temporary amount of time. And it's really interesting. I go for a lot of the art.
Well,
There's all kinds of neat like theme camps that do different types of like activities. Like one that I found at Flipside in Austin was called Stamp Camp, and all they do is they have like hundreds of rubber stamps. So you go by their camp, guess what? You stamp your stuff.
Nice.
You stamp your friend, stamp your hand, stamp your gear, whatever. Even people will come and like donate stamps to them, like rubber stamps. And then there was another one that like brought like an adult size, like almost like a traveling carnival sized pirate ship seesaw that they had to construct out in the middle of the woods for like people to play on. And I was like, this took trailers of stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, everybody's like, I mean, I don't know. I'll watch Instagram videos of just this incredible, like, detail-oriented stuff that's just going to be destroyed anyway. And it's like, yeah, but that's part of it. It's part of the human experience is, like, putting time into something even though it's not permanent, because nothing is permanent.
Well, there are, out at the Big Burn, there's a couple of things that happen that you'll find out in, like, the documentary, is that there's a couple of art grants that get handed out very seldomly, that people that bring out very large installations, like made out of metal sculptures and like stuff like that, can be granted a permission to leave a permanent installation out there in the desert. There's a lot of rules that go into that, like making sure like environmental impact and stuff isn't affected. And there's also some of the more rich people, they can like rent storage containers where a lot of their gear can like live out there in the desert for most of the year, so they don't have to haul a bunch of stuff back and forth as often.
Right.
But yeah, it's really interesting, like, because like here in Texas, like, it's not desert, it's the woods, so there's all kinds of different types of elements you have to be concerned about. And like Flipside one year, like the one and only year I went to Flipside, the day we were supposed to pack out, there was a tornado warning, and it's in this old pecan orchard. And like, we're in a big, like, the theme camp I went with, we're a bar camp. Like, we make drinks for people. People want to come by, we'll make them drinks. And it's a big circus tent. And we had a tornado warning, and we're trying to collapse a metal frame circus tent in a thunderstorm with a guy like just like Cirque du Soleil style going up the main pole to like release the cover because the wind wanted to pick it up out of the stakes and blow it into an RV next to us. And we're like, oh God. And it's like the most dangerous thing I think I've ever done. And it was like 20 of us trying to like collapse this thing and get it out of there. My friend's car was flooded up to her, like the bottom of her seats. Like, just, people got stuck. All my stuff kind of got ruined that year. My buddy had like one dry toga that's like all I had to wear on the ride home. It was nuts, man. But again, like being in Scouts and like being, you go to Ely, Minnesota, you're wet when you arrive till you leave. Like, that canoeing trip is 14 days of you just being wet and covered in mosquitoes or whatever. So like, I was like, okay, I can handle this, But the whole rest of that week was really nice weather. It's just the morning everyone was going to pack out, it just went to crap.
Tornado. Did a funnel ever? Do you know if there was ever actually a tornado? Did they have a touchdown?
There was, but not like close enough to us to be dangerous. But they were like going around in golf carts, making people like get into like shallow ditches and stuff temporarily for about 20 minutes just to be safe. And there were like 200-year-old like pecan trees that just got like uprooted and just tipped over because their ground was so saturated. It was crazy.
Yeah. As I said, nothing's permanent.
Yeah. But it's neat. I would recommend to anybody to check it out, but go to a regional one. It's smaller, but you'll meet a lot of interesting people. And my best advice is to go without any expectations. Like, there's a lot of people that will go with expectations of, like, you know, something they want to accomplish while they're there. Like, oh, I'm going to get so wasted, or, oh, I'm going to meet some, like, manic pixie dream girl or whatever. We're going to hook up. Like, don't, or like, oh, I'm going to master fire poi my first time trying to spin fire. Like, dude, you're not. Just don't.
That's good advice for life in general.
Yeah, right. Like, just go and be in the moment and enjoy it while it's in the temporary moment, and volunteer, and just don't have any expectation for how it's going to turn out, and you'll have a blast. One of my best burns was going completely sober. I didn't even drink that weekend, and I just, like, I volunteered, I walked around different camps, said hi to people, I helped out, and, like, it's fine. And I had just as good a time as, like, other times when I, like, you know, brought a bunch of beer with me or whatever. Like I said, we ran a bar camp.
Beer.
So like, well, or alcohol. Because, like I said, we ran a bar camp, and
beer / methamphetamines. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Although that did.
Although, yeah. Okay. All right, say more.
Okay, okay. True story. The first year I went in 2013, it was kind of drizzly and rainy most of the week, but not like pouring, which was fine. And I made like a 16-foot geodesic dome that, like, was somehow dry enough on the inside that, you know, people hung out in it. I made a lot of friends really quickly. It's cool.
Yeah, I bet.
And I was hanging out one afternoon, like in the middle. So the thing, they're like, the effigy is in the middle of camp, and like all the campsites are around it, but pretty far out because fire safety, right? And out in the desert, the name for the sandy bed and the like just the earth, they call it the playa. And the playa, like, leads to like the burn circle. And like, also, that's the other thing, like, playa dust gets everywhere in everything forever.
Yeah. Like
glitter, but worse. And you'll just find it in all of your belongings forevermore if you ever go out to the big one in the desert. But I'm hanging out in the burn circle, just like in a camp chair, minding my own business. It's the middle of the afternoon, and some random lady, some older lady, like, walks up to me, and she's like chatting me up, and she's got like a silly, you know, sequin cowboy hat on or whatever, and like wearing a floaty for no reason, like a pool floaty. And I was like, I don't know what's happening. And she's like, here, try this. And she hands me a thermos or like a giant sippy cup or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And so, like, I just take a sip of it or whatever. And I hand it back to her, and I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And like, it kind of tasted like Fruit Loops or whatever. And I was like, what is that? And she goes, it's vodka mixed with acid. And then just walks off. And I was like, what? Like, what is my, like,
the best part of that story is that your impression of her sounds like Will Ferrell's impression of Harry Carey.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, that's exactly what she sounded like. And she's like, it's vodka mixed with acid. And just wanders off. And I'm like, what is my afternoon about to be? Like, oh, what have I done?
Yeah.
Turns out I was fine.
Yeah.
I did have some other friends that ran like a DJ camp. And like, it was a dance camp. So like at night, like 3 a.m, they're blasting like EDM music and house and whatever, and people can just come and dance in the middle of the night. And they have like a tent and like something that looks like a lunar lander type thing. And one year they brought out a giant keg, and they told us that they had found on the dark web medical grade caffeine. And so they filled the keg essentially with trash can punch and like high proof everything and a lot of this caffeine and so it was like Four Loko on steroids. And they called it, they're like, do you want some of this? I'm like, what is this? And like, it's more stupid faster. And once they told me what was in it, I was like, I'm gonna pass on this. I don't think this is the motto for Mischievia is safety third, and boy do they live it. But it's been really neat. Like, when I went to Flipside, I met like a bunch of people from like California that were like burners, and they'd come all the way out to like come to this regional event, and they're like, "We love what you're doing here, man! Like it's so raw, it's so authentic. Like y'all are really living true to the spirit, you know." And I was like, "Buddy, I didn't put this on. I'm just here, like you are. But thank you for that." And my older sister told me, because she's out in Las Vegas, and she also like, because she runs in the DJ and like EDM scene, like what you find very quickly is a lot of different communities and special interest groups like Venn diagram over each other real fast in that community. And so your EDM people are also some of your burner people, right? And she said they get a lot of California burners that come out to like meet up with their Las Vegas burners and like hold their own little events, but they're like real cliquey about it. And so like they won't invite any outside DJs they don't know, or anyone that's like not part of the Burning Man scene. My older sister's not. And so she's like, it just felt very like kind of cold.
Yeah.
And like, you're not part of our in cloud, like really like elitist kind of thing. And so it made more sense, because like the Texas burns are kind of known for being like rowdier, because again, like safety third, but also because of Southern hospitality. It's like, it's like, come on into the mashed potato pit with us. And you're like, what are y'all doing? There's a lightning storm. What?
I love Texas, man. Oh, I remember when I first got to college, I had a bunch of friends at UNT who were like from New York or from other places, and they were like, everybody's so nice here. I'm like, what do you mean? Doesn't everybody open car doors for everybody else like a normal polite southerly gentleman? And they're like, no, they don't.
I didn't understand what Southern hospitality was till college, and I was hanging out with a girl who was from Seattle, and she was explaining it. She had explained Southern hospitality to me, because I didn't understand what that was. But it turns out it was just like me living my life.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, like people will just like be walking down the sidewalk here on campus and like say, hi, how's it going? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, you don't do that to people in Seattle. Like they'll look at you weird.
Yeah.
And like, you don't talk to people on the street. And I was like, what? Like, you don't have to talk to them. It's just like a salutation, I guess. But it's just so weird. Like different geographical regions have like these little things.
I collect, when I go on a jog, I will tally up how many cars I get to wave back at me. Like as I'm jogging, I'll like wave at the car and try to make sure they wave back, and just see how they, and kind of count them up just to keep myself going.
To forget that you're in the hellscape that is jogging.
I do. I really don't enjoy jogging, which is fun. I enjoy being active and healthy, but jogging is like my least favorite. But it's the easiest to just go do is the problem. Like
meanwhile, I'm over here having an Italian breakfast this morning.
No, but I mean like.
No, then you're supposed to ask me what an Italian breakfast is.
Oh, I just assumed it was. I don't know what I assumed it was. I just incorporated it into my brain without.
No, it's just a thing I made up.
It's a what?
It's a thing I made up.
All right, let's hear it.
It's just 2 shots of espresso with nothing else in it, and a slice of cheesecake.
Sounds good.
For breakfast.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I have a Keurig that steams milk, so you can make yourself a cappuccino, and it's the best investment. I know it's not authentic, blah, 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 shut up. Like, I can have a cappuccino twice a morning every day that I want to, as long as I have milk and Cafe Bustelo. Okay. This episode of How the Heck Have You Been is brought to you by Cafe Bustelo, the official...
Okay, counterpoint. There's some relatively inexpensive little mini countertop espresso machines that like will also do that, but then you don't have as many pods to throw away.
Yeah,
it'll probably taste a little better. I'm just saying.
I've used them. I've used espresso machines before. This is just super handy because you don't have to like. It's got a little stainless steel steamer, but it goes from the bottom. Like somehow there's like a magnetized thing. You put the milk in, you just set it on and press a button, and it spins the milk and steams it for you from the bottom. And like I get the wastefulness.
That makes sense because it's probably
K-cups,
you probably don't have to clean it as often.
Correct.
Because mine has like the little straw that comes from the top, and like you have to clean it immediately. And I was like, I'm not even gonna mess with this. I have cheesecake.
Right. I'm telling you, man.
Forget the milk.
It's the best money I've ever spent on this. Probably one of my top 5 luxury items would be would be that.
Luxury item.
I mean, like items that you should splurge on, but you don't need. You know what I mean? Like,
What's the best Amazon purchase you've made this year?
oh, that's a good question. Look at you turning the. Let me see. Amazon
Already.
purchase.
Mm.
I'm gonna look up my orders because, well, this wouldn't be it, but I'm making my daughter some walking sticks, like sanding them, polishing them, and all of that. So we bought some little the little stoppers on the bottom. I'm addicted to the Fit Crunch protein bars that are mint chocolate. They are
Gross.
amazing. They are amazing. Don't say
No,
gross. Don't say gross.
no, I'm burned out. Like mint chocolate chip ice cream, Girl Scout thin mint cookies, like all that stuff. Those are my dad's favorite. And like growing up, we had so much mint chocolate, everything so often. Like I'm forever burned out.
Yeah, I haven't made a lot of good Amazon purchases.
Okay, well I'm gonna give you one right
All right,
now.
what's yours?
Um, it's a chicken shredder, and what you do? Okay, so like we have two dogs, and my girlfriend loves our dogs, and so in addition to the dog food that we get for them, that's in a bag, we add a little bit of fresh like chicken to it, not uncooked chicken, like we cook it, but we go through a lot of it. And so like I have an instant pot, we'll just like pressure cook a ton of the chicken for the week or whatever. But we shred it, we pre-shred it so it's easy to like portion out
Yeah,
into the dog
yeah,
food, right? And it's a pain because it's so much
yeah.
chicken. And so I bought this thing. It's like just like it's basically like a giant weed grinder, but for chicken breasts. And so you can take the chicken breast and just put it in this thing. It's like if you're gonna make enchiladas or pulled chicken or like
Yeah.
whatever kind of like what normal
I'm
people
looking
would
at
eat.
them
They
now.
don't.
It's got like spikes on both. It's
Yeah,
like two large petri dishes shaped type things.
yeah, and it works so well and so fast. I've I've taken what used to be like easily a 20-25 minute task and accomplished it in under 5 minutes.
Nice.
And I was like, this is the best $30 I've ever spent for something dog related.
Yeah, but it'll work for you too. We do a lot of meals where we're
Oh,
like slow cooker chicken, and then we get it out to shred it, and it does take forever to just sit there and shred it.
oh my God. Do you like hot sauce?
Yeah,
Do you like really hot
sure.
sauce?
Yeah, I've done the hot ones. Whatever. What's the stupid show that they do? I've never seen, but it's
Yeah,
hot
it's
ones,
hot
isn't it?
ones. Yeah.
My friends and I did they bought one of the 4 packs, and we did some wings at our house. It was pretty fun.
So one of the
I
only
actually did a podcast with Charles, and it was like it was demon children movies or something that we did the theme, and so we did some of the sauces, and there's like a little highlight video online that's pretty funny too of us all sweating from the.
so that's the other thing I've gotten into. Like I'm not super into hot sauce, but a lot of my friends are, and like any good friend, I decided that I just want to kill everybody. And so I set out to make some really hot sauce. Uh, and I just because again, cleaning out the house, I found a lacto fermentation kit for like brine pickling vegetables. But one of the things you do with that is you can make hot sauce. And so I started getting into that, and I've made like 4 or 5 different batches now. And like you have to let it sit on your counter for like 2 weeks, and I'm finally starting to dial it in. But I have one that is like Carolina Reaper and ghost pepper and papaya that turned
Sounds
out
good.
really good. And so, but it makes so much of it, I end up with like anywhere between 8 to 12 bottles of it, and I'm never gonna eat that much hot sauce. So if you want a bottle,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll bring you some. I
Yeah,
just
bring me
give it
some.
away right now because I'm just again making it for my friends that like hot sauce, and I'm like I'm not super into this, but I want to make a thing for my friends because I'm
Yeah,
not going to the makerspace right now. Like since COVID, I hadn't been back, and it's been like I want to get back to it, but it's just been on break, and so I was like I got to be making something, something to hyperfixate on, and so that's like another thing I've been making recently is hot sauces.
well, we should make something together, David. We should make something, if not beautiful music. I think our powers combined could be cool.
Oh, like
Oh, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know what.
like
I didn't have a
like what else are you
suggestion.
making right now?
Right now, I'm working on my Taylor Swift portrait.
Oh my God, you're gonna sell so many of those.
Uh,
In fact, I already have a buyer for you in New York.
does he or she want the original?
Probably.
Here, let me show. Let me turn this around, and I'll actually show you because it's literally right here. But it's let's see. I can't see what you're seeing yet. So it'll have every album artwork of all 11 so far, including the new one. Every song title.
Oh man. Oh my God, dude. Dude, if we get the right marketing behind this, pull it back. Pull it back. You're too close. Dude, if we get the right marketing behind this, you'd be able to quit your job.
Right? Well, it's funny you mentioned that. My cousin
Get it
works.
digitized, print it on bags, print it on cups.
The problem is I don't know how small it will go. And retain the detailing, right? Is always the issue.
All right, we still posters of
But
it.
my cousin works for, what's the big photo? The
B&H
stock photo company.
Oh, yeah,
Getty, right? Getty Images.
maybe. Oh, yeah.
I think that, yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
yes.
So he was like, yeah, we actually have like we do all of Taylor Swift stuff, so I can actually, we should send it up the line to them. I was like, wait, what? Like, really? So maybe, I don't know. I couldn't tell if he was joking or serious. I think he was serious. At first, I thought he was joking. And he was like, no, like, yeah, we can do that. It's like, okay, that'd be cool.
That'd be excellent.
So I just finished another commission that kind of interrupted it, but I'm about to power through Taylor. But it's been kind of cool listening to her music because I wasn't really a fan, but having listened to it all, I'm like, oh yeah, it's all good stuff. I get why she's so popular now. This is all pretty solid.
There's only one thing I'm listening to right now, and it's Dirt Man.
It's what?
Dirt Man.
What is that?
You just Google it. Look it up on TikTok. There's 40 million versions of it at this point.
Is it one song that people are doing different?
Yeah. It's not even a full song. It's like 30 seconds.
So people do a bunch of different versions?
Not only that, it got so popular that he made merch for it. Which if you made a Dirtman portrait right now, it would sell. But like he ended up making an extended version for people to duet on TikTok, and people have been running away with it, doing like their own improvised verse. And now there's like so many different versions. Nice. It's like perpetuated the algorithm to like it just keeps coming up. It's like one of the newest and most pervasive memes, I mean, on TikTok right now. Excellent. And somebody, and I think the reason I brought it up was somebody did a duet, and she's like, "This would be the Taylor Swift version of Dirt Man."
And was it like a spot on?
It was so good.
Nice. All right, well, we should probably wrap up. I gotta get back to the family. Ugh. But I have a surprise for you. Maybe. Have you bought your reunion ticket yet?
I just did, like, literally yesterday.
Dang it. All right, then I don't have a ticket for you.
Damn.
Because I was like, Sally doesn't really need to come. I could just bring her to the Broncos thing. There's I think a Broncos thing the night before. So I'll see if Toby wants it or something. Maybe lower Dupe.
Right on.
I just thought you could be my date, but I guess not.
Damn.
Are you bringing your girlfriend?
No.
Yeah, why would you, right? That's after I bought Sally's ticket. I was like, she doesn't want to go to this. Why would she? Doesn't know any of my friends from high school. She knows a couple, but
well, at least she went to Bell though.
She did, yeah. That's why.
Like my girlfriend didn't even go.
Yeah, so I'll find somebody who wants it. Dang it. All right. Well, for real though, we should make something together.
Okay.
I'll do the serial killers with you too. You still doing that?
Oh,
we gotta do that.
I need to get on with finishing the edits. We
shot
like 5 or 6 episodes during COVID, and I never finished editing them, and I need to just get back to it.
Have you posted any? Like, are any of them public?
No, they're just sitting on my hard drive right now because we did a bunch of montage footage for the opening sequence, and then my buddy moved to Scotland, and some of it contains drone footage that I wanted for the opening sequence that he can't seem to locate and get to me.
Mm.
And so I put it off, and also because we shot it with two different air quotes cameras, two different iPhones, I've been trying to like sync up the audio and clean that up. And I need to get a synchronization that's tighter than one frame, and Final Cut Pro won't let me nudge things anything finer than a single frame, and I need like a half or quarter frame. And so I might have to look into, and I know Blackmagic has like a free editor that might work for my needs, but I hadn't had the time to like get into it. But I need to, because like people need to witness you trying cereal with milk for the first time.
Yeah, so that's the lead we buried, is that I've never had a bowl of cereal with milk before. I've always eaten cereal dry, and the idea
just like as a snack, like people eat potato chips.
Yeah.
Just like get a little handful or whatever.
Yeah, or do like granola by itself with some with
in fact,
chips
sitting in my pantry, because like, and the thing about it is we'd always find the stupidest cereals, and so in my pantry I still have some sealed bags of Flamin' Hot Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I do too. These I'm sure are going to be terrible, and also because they're really old now.
Let's do it.
It's gonna like, but I'd rather that be like the second one we do, because like you need to experience like a cereal you like with milk on it, because I don't want to ruin it for you for life, where you're like, I'm never doing this again.
Honestly, it would probably be Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's
probably one of my favorites. We gotta get a like a, what's it, like a goofier one.
Or Captain Crunch is good.
Okay.
What do you mean goofy? Berries? Like aren't all cereals goofy?
No, dude. Like, okay, so the first one we ever tried was a Sour Patch Kids cereal. That was awful.
So that's the premise of the show, is that you do weird cereals and review them.
Yeah. Okay, then we found one that was mint chocolate chip drumstick ice cream flavored. We did that in a science lab. We did one that was actually pretty good, that was like a Cinnabon, like limited edition. And then we also did an Oreo O's one under a bridge. like again, we're always shooting in locations that it looks like these people are gonna get murdered, and we
like serial killers, yeah.
Right, but like we never bring it up. And what was one of the other ones that we did? I got to go back and look. But like they're always like the weird like limited time cereals that we normally do, and that's why I picked up the Flaming Hot Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So I guess we could do it. I already know the location we're gonna shoot too.
Well, for those who don't know, like it's for the thing I don't like is the idea of soggy breads, right? Like you want your breads to be like crisp and crunchy, like your cereals, like your carbs. Why would you soak them in like milk? It's weird.
Okay, so like you ever dip cookies in milk?
Yeah, or coffee, yeah.
Okay, so there's the like
there's a window, I presume.
There's that like twilight period where it's like it's coated but it's not soggy.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
And for that reason, there's some of those, people out there in the world that like, because I'm going to explain it to you like you don't know because you've never done this. But for most normal Americans, they will put the cereal in the bowl first and then add the milk.
Yeah.
I might get canceled for even saying that. Like, you're about to have like a whole comment when you post this.
This podcast is about to explode.
But like on Reddit, there's been arguments over like people that are like, no, you add the milk to the bowl first and then just like gradually add in the cereal. So you're always eating cereal that hasn't gotten soggy yet. And you know exactly how much cereal milk ratio to use until all the milk gone. So far, so much, in fact, that someone's made a special cereal bowl to accomplish that, where the cereal sits on top and then you scoop it down a little slide into the bowl. And like, so that's like a way to do it.
That's what, like, see, that's the thing. I'm so weird about food stuff like that I would do that. Like, especially temperature as well. Like, I love controlling the temperature of my food.
And yeah, like I hate eating a cold thing. But like or like a food that was served hot, but then like I had to drive it home and now it's cold.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
But there also, like, if you had eaten cereal with milk for a long time, you start to realize there's certain cereals that like get soggier faster. Like a big offender is Crispex, which you wouldn't think because crisp is in the name.
Yeah.
And it's a delicious cereal, but like it turns soggy so fast. Grape nuts actually get better, but they swell. And so the thing, like, people make the mistake with grape nuts is they fill a bowl like they would with normal cereal, and it's like, you're never going to eat all of this in one sitting. Like, put like a child's amount of grape nuts in there, and then
it's getting gross. Yeah.
And so there's like little things like that you learn.
I love you explaining to me. I love this because I need it. I really need it, which is sad.
I always wanted to start a podcast called Nights at a Round Table, where we literally have a round table where people could either come and sit and just
talk,
like have a call-in show.
Yeah.
And like, I'm really into Therapy Gecko. I like, but that stuff is completely unhinged. But I've called into a show twice and gotten on twice and talked to him, so I feel proud about that.
Nice.
It's been neat. So it's doable. But if you talk about making something together, maybe we do a call-in show at some point.
That's an idea. All right.
But also serial killers for sure. I need to get on it.
All right, let that be the next thing you're Give me some hot sauce finish your hot sauce batch.
It's done. It's in my fridge right now.
Oh, okay. Well, then now you can hyper focus on serial killers.
Yep.
Go shoot some more drone footage. Do you have to have the drone footage?
No, but it was really good because it was
such a shame not to use it.
Super silly. Like you have you ever done that thing with your wife where each of you are holding your child's arm and like kind of swinging them in the park as you're walking down the sidewalk? Me and my bro were doing that with the box of cereal, but we had the drone footage like flying like 15 feet in front of us. Like, it was some amazing aerial shots, dude. It was so stupid. I came up with like an 80s synth like opening track I made for it and everything. And
so what's your friend's name? We can shame him into giving you the footage.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna.
Just first name only. First name only.
His name's Clayton.
All right, he'll hear this. Like, all right, fine. Send him this podcast. Tell him. Wait till the end.
I harassed him about it literally last week.
You know what you did, Clayton.
He sent me the rest of the footage like 3 times, thinking that was all of it. I'm like, no, I already have all of this footage. I need the drone footage, but I really don't, because the theme song I made for it is actually too short for all the amount of footage we have.
Just double it. Just duplicate it.
Or is it going to be like swirling tiles of a montage on the screen?
Yeah. That'd be good.
It's going to be good, dude.
All right. Well, we'll get it done, and I'll see you at the reunion, if not sooner.
Yeah, and for anyone else listening, you haven't got your tickets yet, get them.
Yep.
I don't know when this is airing. It's going to be like a week before.
It is, but I have an ad for it, and I put the link in the show last time for the Carmel episode, and Claire is going live, so it'll have that on there as well. So
nice.
I need to tell Matt I did that, I think. So anyway.
You do. Doing
all right.
All right, I'll catch you later, man.
This is good. Part 2. Keep it fresh. Let him in. Bye.
Talk to you later.
All right, that was the show. Thanks for listening, everyone. Today's episode was recorded by Mark Dye. Our editor is Mark Dye, and he is also the executive producer. The intro and outro music was composed by Mark Dye in high school. It's really just me doing this. To support the How the Heck Have You Been podcast, visit artbymarker.com and buy some cool art. Thanks, y'all.